What's up, you guys? No, Guillermo, I was not waiting for more viewers. I was fiddling around trying to clean shit up because I had to make dinner. So, and I had to grab a beer and hit the restroom before we got going. So, Happy New Year's, y'all! Happy 2018! What did you guys do for New Year's? Anybody do anything fun? Anything exciting? Any scandalous stories? Did anybody work? I actually had the New Year's off for the first time in many years. And I didn't do a whole lot. Me and the lady went and I did shots. Shots! Users ready to get some shots going. I like it. We went and camped out at Joshua Tree, which was really cool, but very mellow and not a whole lot of excitement going on. Whew. So what's up? Kenira, by the way, some of you know, some of you don't know, I love to murder your names, and if I fuck it up, I'm sorry. Kenira, Guillermo, list mentions 23, Coral Frias, Colin Walker, Noel Smith, list mentions Jasmine, Cam, Joe, Leah, Cam, and Fire Blend Ice. You. So, patiently waits impatiently. I know, sorry, no. I wanted to start this thing on time so that you guys would know it was going, because I've been a little inconsistent over the last few weeks. Holidays and the end of school and whatnot was really challenging, and the holidays, obviously. So, but we're here. We're back. We're back to the 2000. We're not back to. We're back in 2018, and we're gonna be rolling. So, what about you guys? What did you do? What did you see? Noel Smith? Is it Noel? I totally fucked it up, didn't I? Noel. I have a friend named Noel who spells it like that, so that's why. That's my excuse. Is it Noel? It's probably Noel, huh? Lo siento. Noel. Right. My bad. I owe you a drink. Come visit me. You. Tim Rock. See, I told you. Just pinche gringo likes to screw up names. I love it. So what else is going on? Did you guys go out? Did you see any crazy bartending? Did you see any bar fights? Did you see any people making out? Any cool things? Or did you all just go to house parties? What happened? Tell me about what you did and saw, and lovely Christmas with the family. I'm underage until February. All right. No, just kidding. All right. Next month, Noel, you're there. Stuffed my face. Safe in bed. Nice. I'm trying to see, how long do these random drunk folks tickling people at the counter? What? I don't even know what that means, but that sounds interesting. Work New Year's in a bar here in Dublin. All right, Connor. Dublin. In the house. Joe. Had a house party. I can't talk. I've only had 2 sips. Had a house party with friends and family and friends. Family. Nice. Sweet. Well, that's cool. Yeah, my in-laws are they are animals. And I'm talking like senior class varsity party animals. And so me and the wife this year decided to take a little time out from all that and bounce out of town. So we went and camped kind of out in the middle of the desert. Joshua Tree National Park. Took it easy. It was very boring, but nice. It wasn't boring. It was great. But considering what most people do on New Year's, it probably would have been boring. Well, cool. So what are the plans for the new year? What are the goals for you guys? What are you shooting for? Desert camping. Yep. Sounds kind of weird, but if you live in Southwest United States, I'm sure there's lots of other places in the world, but Southwest US, if you go camp, a lot of times it's desert. Like if I go to Baja, if I go surf and camp in Baja, it's basically just desert, right up to the water. So you're not doing a whole lot. Being a master bartender. That's what I like to see list mentions. Sweet. Joe, I was trying to get a video up with your holiday recipes, and I completely failed. I shot it all by Friday, and then we were like trying to get it out of town Saturday, and I had like all these different angles that I'm using when I'm making recipe videos now, and it looks really cool, but it is like 3 times more time consuming when I'm editing it. So I did not even get it up in time, so I totally failed, but they're coming out. I was gonna ask you guys, I shot a whole like holiday recipe video with like 3 different drink recipes in it. Do you think I should post it now, or should I just like save it for next year? Let me know what you think. So Jenny wants to succeed at learning to bartend enough to pay for my master's program in biomedical sciences. Yeah, that a girl. Good job. Master's program in biomedical sciences. Good on you. Thank God for people you in the world. I can't talk today. I don't know what's going on. I have just promised I've only had a couple little sips of this beer, but for whatever reason I still can't talk. No, what I was going to say, thank God for people like you in the world, because if we were all like me, there would be no such thing as biomedical science. So, thank you for being much smarter in your left brain than me. And Fireblend Ice, I had to work New Year's, and we had people sick with no replacement, so it was rough, and I was tired. Just went home, relaxed, continued experimenting with my perfection of perfect Bloody Mary. Ooh, I'd like to try that. I love Bloodies. I love Bloodies and micheladas, which is kind of like the same thing, but with beer instead of the alcohol, like vodka or whatever. So it's not as heavy. You can have more of them, and they won't fuck you up as quickly. So, yeah, Jenny, making it happen. Good job. Now or never. So, Kevin Anthony, pros and cons of being a bartender versus a server. Oh man, there's a few of them. I'd say the main being that when you're a bartender, you can have, and this is, remember, everything that I say has the caveat, but it depends on where you work, right? So just keep that in mind. Generally, though, when you're a bartender versus a server, you can have a little bit more, edge to you. I want to say is the right way to say it. Or you don't, like when you're a server, you really don't have any room to kind of, like if you have some customers that are being rude or just condescending, and they're just like general terrible customers, which happens sometimes. If you're super busy, and you're in the bar and somebody starts snapping at you, and you're like, hey, you can kind of give them like, hey, calm down, I'll get right to you, sorry, we're busy, you can tell them to chill a little bit. But if you did that shit as a server, they would, kill you and demand to see the manager and the owner, and they would want to see you strung up on a pole right there. So as a bartender, you can be a little more kind of blunt with people. Right, you don't have to have quite the like suck up attitude. Not to say that it's okay to be rude to customers at all, right? Not saying that, but you can just have a little more edge. But you're also kind of, and I like it. I call it being stuck in my cage. Like you can't get out, which is a good thing because all your people are right in front of you, which I like. But at the same time, if you have people that you don't like, you can't get away from them. So the thing about being a server is that you can kind of disappear. You can kind of get around, out, go in the back and It's like, fuck, I hate that table or that person or blah, 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 whatever. If you need to go vent and let off some steam. And you could do the same in the bar by leaving the bar, but it's just, you know, a little more difficult. And then depending on where you work, sometimes servers make more money than the bartenders. So just depends on what you're getting into, like why you're doing bartending. So we'll kind of go back and forth. We generally get an edge on our servers, but there's times when we'll be a little bit slower, and just a slower pace will generally favor the servers making a little bit more money for whatever reason. So I'd say that, like, if you're looking at this job as like a long-term career, then the fine dining spots are kind of your best option, and generally you're gonna make more money doing that as a server in the fine dining stuff. You can do pretty well as a bartender, but again, it's those serving those tables and giving them extra special treatment and really racking up the tabs. That's how you make the money. All right, and again, if you guys are, I think most of you guys know the deal, but if I don't get to your question right away, hang tight. I'll get to it because I just scroll down from the top in order, and I try to catch when things were pertinent to our conversation when you make those comments. So I try not to leave them hanging too long. Okay, so how's the best way to do a resume for bartending? Lily, if you go on to bartendingblueprint.com, which is my website, and right on the home page, or if you click the like get started now, there's basically you can opt in, you can give me your name and email, and I'll send you a whole kind of little mini lesson from the program, which, you know, don't worry about that if you're interested or not, but it'll send you a couple of basic lessons, some of which are on this channel, but you'll also get access to resume templates, and these custom resume templates that I made specifically for bartending. And then I also have a video that goes along with them that shows you how to fill those out. So go watch that, or go check out that website, bartendingblueprint.com. Put your name and email in there and get all that stuff, and then that'll give you a really good idea on how to fill that out. Then there's also the playlist, which I should pull up here, the Getting the Job playlist that I have on my channel. So you can search that, and I have a whole Getting the Job mini-series that is in, let's see, How to Become a Bartender is the name of the playlist. So go to the How to Become a Bartender playlist on this channel, and in there you'll see a little mini-series called How to Get a Bartending Job. And I think part 3 of 4 talks all about the resumes. So go give that a look. There's also a link underneath that video to the Bartending Blueprint website where you can get the resumes. So go check that out. All right. But the short answer is that you want to make it short and sweet and to the point, because they're basically going to look at it in about 12 seconds, and they got to figure out whether or not it's worth their time. So it's not like a traditional business resume that's got a bunch of explanations about education and all that kind of shit, or experience or whatever. So this is just kind of gives them the basic points of what they want to see. We used to call that red beer. Yeah, basically, really similar, but there's a little bit more to it. Put a few extra magic things in there. Red beer used to just be, you know, Bloody Mary mix or tomato juice in a beer, which isn't a whole lot different. But sorry, bad connection right now. Hang tight, it'll get better. All right. Okay, keep finding out those questions. Did you see yourself? Wait, hold on. Holy moly. There's a bunch of those. Lily wants to know, Oh yeah, when you're starting out as a bartender. Yeah, go check that out. It's about for when you're brand new with the resumes. List mentions 23 bartenders split tips. It just depends on the place, but usually, yeah. I mean, generally, what you want to find at the bar that you work at, optimally, in my opinion, is a place where you keep what you make when you're working. So, well, first of all, you want a place where they don't collect the tips. And I had heard that there's legislation that is going through, or is like possibly going through, that basically allows owners and management to stipulate that you have to turn in all your tips. They collect all the tips, and then they divvy out after the fact. So they'll collect all the tips, and then they'll split it how they see fit or whatever, and then you get that. But I don't like that shit at all, because it's shady, and you don't, it makes it difficult to make sure that you're getting everything, and then what they're doing is they're taking it so that their excuses so that they can tip out other people in the establishment, like lower tier bussers, barbacks, dishwashers, which most tipping, like when you work at a place, you generally have a way that you're supposed to tip everybody out that helps you. And so those people should be getting tipped anyway, hopefully. And if your situation doesn't have you tipping those types of people, anybody who helps you do your job, you should tip anyway. You don't have to give them a lot, just a few bucks, $3, $4, $5, Thanks for helping out. It makes a huge difference. So anyway, you want to find a place where the managers and owners do not collect the tips and then divvy them out later. That's bad. Sometimes you can't help it, and if it's your first gig and you're working there, or it's a killer spot, then whatever, you just got to deal with it. Then you want to try to have it so that you keep whatever you make while you're working, and then you evenly split whatever you make while you're working with somebody else, or 2 other, 3 or whatever people, and so like let's say let's say there's like a night shift, right? And there's 3 different bartenders, but we come on at 3 different times. It's like a 4 or 6 and a 9 o'clock, or make the math easy, we'll call it a 4 or 6 and an 8 o'clock. So if I'm the 4 o'clock, in between 4 and 6 o'clock, whatever I make between 4 and 6 is mine. Then once the 6 o'clock gets here, I clean out the tip jar. Then whatever we make between 4 and 6, we split. And then when the 8 o'clock guy gets there, we clear out the tip jar again, and everything we make during that time, we split 3 ways. And then generally it'll start to slow down, and I'm the first guy that got there, so I'm the first one to get cut. So when I leave, if the 6 and the 8 o'clock are still there, whatever they make after I'm gone, they split. And there's some people that will make the argument, well, it should be pooled throughout the whole night, because if you're low on the pecking order and you're always the first guy in and it's always slow, then you're not ever getting any part of the action later on in the night. And, you can have your own opinion about that. Personally, I like to make what I keep while I'm there. Maybe that's easy to say because I'm in the senior rotation, but we generally try to I write the schedule at the bar, so I try to make sure that everybody gets a fair shake. I try to make sure everybody's got good shifts. So anyway, going on a tangent there. So you want to try to, the main thing is you just don't want a place that takes the tips from you and then gives them back to you later. You want to be able to keep your money, hopefully. So, and there's a million different ways that places do it. So it's one of those caveats of it depends on where you work. But that's, kind of the situation that you're looking for. Okay. Fire blend ice. I've been working on it for 2 years, growing 2 different types of tomato plants a year and making my own juice. Oh, sweet. Man. Once you get that recipe with your Bloody Mary mix figured out, fire blend ice, send me a bottle. It doesn't have to be like packaged professionally or have a label on it or anything, but send me a little bottle and I'll make a Bloody Mary video with it. That'd be cool. Cam, do you see yourself taking up bartending as a career when you started? No, definitely not. And I still, I've been almost in this industry, considered a career. It has been a career, but it's not something I foresee doing too much longer. This has been a lot of fun through my 20s and 30s. Sorry, bad connection again. It's something that's been really fun to do while in my younger days, and I basically just got started because my friends worked at a place, and the manager, who's this guy, this big gay dude, we call him Big Gay Steve, super cool, used to smoke with him all the time. But anyway, he kind of had a little crush on me. He's like, when are you going to start working here? Because all your friends work here. So I had ever really thought about bartending, and it kind of fell in my lap. And then I've stayed in it so long because of what I prefer in my life, which is flexibility in my schedule and being able to take time off or have half of every day or 3 days open during the week. I like to have a lot of time. I prefer my freedom in my schedule over, I'd have to make several times more what I make before I would be considered, before I would consider leaving this job. But I didn't start out as a career. Jasmine Madrano, how old were you when you started bartending? I was 22. And what and where is the best way to start? So, same thing, Jasmine. Go check out the How to Become a Bartender playlist that I have on this channel. So there's a whole playlist called, let's see here. Yeah, I have a whole playlist called How to Become a Bartender. So go watch that whole playlist, and there's like how to get started doing private parties, and then there's like a very detailed like 4-part video mini-series about how to get started with no experience. So go check out that playlist, How to Become a Bartender, and that will, just because that's a long question, but basically you got to either get to know somebody or just be persistent, really is the main answer, and be willing to start in a different job. If you have a way in through somebody and they're willing to start you as a bartender, cool. But most bartenders, over 95% of them, we get started because we were started doing other jobs, and then you move up into it. So I talk about all that in all those videos. So go watch that mini-series. Giovanni Castro, our small non-popular bar is a good place to start as a bartender with no experience. There are 2 small bars that are different that are offering to train people with no experience. Take that. Go. And I'm considering taking it. Yes. The other thing is that whatever job that you have, either now or in 5 years or in 10 years from now, you don't have to stay there, right? It's not the only bartending job you'll ever have, unless you want it to be. Right? So if you're in a place that you don't like, or it's not optimal, take it. If that's what you're trying to get into, is bartending, take it. Start working, you're getting experience, just kind of stand on that, and now start to look for other places. And if they're willing to take new people with no experience and they'll train you, then go. Because you'll cut a couple of years off of your curve becoming a bartender, possibly. Yellow Scuba Diver. Yeah, I like that name. Whoa, bunch of these questions just shot up. Sorry, that's what kind of happens when my internet's a little spotty, is all of a sudden they'll all jump all at once. Okay. Yellow Scuba Diver. Jason, not Josh. That's okay though. People call me Josh all the time. Jason, I usually bartend Tuesdays, so I can't watch, but I'm off today. You! Stoked, buddy. I'm assuming, buddy. Man, girl. Scuba diver, stoked you made it. Mitch Douglas, is it a career job? How well would you view it? I'm assuming you're talking about bartending. Just depends, I have a video where I talk about how much, I think it's called How Much Do Bartenders Really Make? And I break down, like by shift, how much you're making for this amount per year. And it just depends on what you want out of your life. How much money do you want to make? What are you looking to get out of this as a job or a career? Because generally, as a bartender, you're not going to make a lot of money. And of course there's the fallacy of like, well, can't you make $100,000 bartending? Yes, it's in theory possible, and some people do it, but it's a very tiny specific percentage. And you're basically either in just like balls to the wall insanity, Vegas party style, which sounds fun, but the energy requirement in that type of job is fucking insane. So that's why you usually don't see older people doing it. You get burned out. The other way is through super high-end fine dining generally. And again, there's exceptions to every rule in everything I say on this channel, and it depends on where you work, but that's generally the case. So it depends on what you're getting into and what you want out of it. Jenny Mead. So there's no such thing as needing a bartending license because you just serve the alcohol and you don't provide it correctly. So Jenny, you're talking about like serving. Depends on your state. You got to look that up depending on where you live. There's different rules for different states, but generally, if you're under the drinking age, which is usually 21 in the United States, you can't make a drink, but you can serve it. Right? Does that make sense? So I'm over 21. I can make the drink, but the cocktail waitress who's only 19 cannot make it. However, she can take it and give it to the customer. So that's varies by state. I know there's some states like Texas and I don't know who else, but I think you can actually pour drinks at 18 or 19. So look up your specific state requirements. And also there is no such thing as a bartending license in the sense of like a huge national sanctioning body. Now there's separate individual states that call their alcohol training, like how to check IDs and how to cut people off. A lot of those are required in each state, and sometimes they will call those bartending licenses, so it gets very confusing. But basically there's not like an overarching national certification that you have to have as a bartender. So as long as you're old enough and you can convince the boss to put you in there, you can pour drinks. Okay. Yeah, the TABC. So that's like the Texas Alcohol Beverage Control one. How do you keep tips separate when you are sharing the tip jar? So when you're sharing the tip jar, you don't, right? So when I'm working there in between 4 and before the guy gets there at 6, I'm putting all my tips in there. And then when that guy gets there at 6, I clean out the tip jar, fold up my money, and I put it in my pocket. And then between 6 and 8, when there's 2 of us working, everything that we're ringing up and closing, we're just throwing in the tip jar. And then when the 8 o'clock guy comes in, we clean that out and we split it right down the middle. So it's not going to get into the minutia of like, well, that tab was mine and that tab was theirs. If you're working at the same time, whatever we're opening and closing and serving and whatever tips are coming in through whatever way, then we're splitting that even, right? Does that make sense? And then when the 8 o'clock gets there, I pull, we split those tips, and then during that time, if there's 3 of us on, whatever we make during that time, we split 3 ways or 4 ways or, however many bartenders you have. So, hope that makes sense. Nice to see you have a new shirt. Hey, this funny guy, Scooby Snack. I wear the same shirts on purpose in my videos. So these Tuesdays are a little bit different. I kind of just make sure I have the hat, and that's about it. But yeah, it's I don't know where I got that. I watched fucking forever ago a video like, it's like when you're shooting YouTube videos, you should always have the same attire so your customers. Well, anyway, Terreso. Let's see, missing the rest of that. Anything new changes coming from you in the new year? Just trying to have more stuff coming out. Same as always. I mean, I'm in my last semester of school. I graduated in May. This is my last semester. My load this semester, even though I do have my senior projects and stuff going on in another business that I'm working on, I will hopefully be more consistent with stuff. This Tuesday one should be pretty simple. And then I'm trying to get in front of like front loading, shooting a bunch of videos so I can pre-edit and post them so that they'll automatically come up on a certain, on Fridays or whatever. So just trying to be more consistent, fire blend ice basically, and have more stuff coming out for you guys. And then after I graduate in May, we're actually talking about moving back to Oregon, which is where I'm from originally. So depending on what I do for work up there and what I'm able to find, I don't know, I'll keep you guys posted. But I would like to focus on doing this more. Like if I could get to the point where I could do a new video every day, 5 days a week, that would be awesome. So that'd be something I'd like to get to. We'll see. I over promise to you guys all the time, and I apologize for that shit, and I know it pisses me off just as much as I'm sure it does for you guys. But yeah, that's basically it. I'd like to get more stuff out for you. All right, I know we got a bunch of questions. I'll try to pick up the pace here. Sorry if I'm dragging a bit here. Hang tight. I will get to everybody's questions. I promise. I owe you guys a good long session because I've been kind of inconsistent the last few weeks. So I'll get them out. Throw them up there as I scroll down. Keenan Hero wants to know, how do you remember all of your recipes? Is it just through experience, or do you have methods for remembering? Basically, it's just kind of experience. Some of my old dive bar videos, the dive bartending drink recipe playlist that I have. It's a lot of my old first videos that were shot on my iSight camera, so there's like terrible quality and terrible audio. A lot of those I used kind of funky little things to help remember the drinks. But honestly, for me, the main thing, and sometimes those help, but I mean, the main thing is just repetition. So you just got to practice and remember that most of your bartending, sorry, connection's bad again. What the fuck is going on with our internet today? Shit, what was I talking about? Oh, remembering. So it's mostly just through repetition, and remember that bartending is mostly people skills. It's personal interactions. It's not about the drink recipes. You don't need to know a bunch of crazy drinks. Most people that come to your bar don't know any drinks, so they're not going to order them, really. Most of the kind of exotic recipes that you'll most likely have is the stuff that's on your actual menu at the place. But then you'll know what they are, and you'll have plenty of time to practice them and stuff. So, and I say this all the time, but do not wait until you have 200 recipes memorized before you try to go get a job. I didn't know a single recipe when I started. My buddy Anthony, who I did that last interviews with pros, knew 0 drink recipes when he started. You don't need to know any drinks when you start. This is more important about a people skill. This job is more a people skill than it is a mixing drink skill. You know, unless you're like a professional mixologist, which means you get paid to come in and create cocktails, but that's a completely different job. Or if you just want to nerd out on that stuff and work at like a super craft place, which is cool, you know. Then it's more of a hobby in that regard, and that kind of stuff is cool. But generally, most of your bartending, you don't need to worry about learning too much of that stuff. Okay, Dean Watson, fairly new bartender, just wondering if you have any tips to pour a larger, such as lager. I think here's what you're trying to say, Heineken or San Miguel, because I keep being told there's different heads to them, and then I get told they are the same. So this beer world is another one that's real touchy, and so I'll just kind of say it depends on where you're working, right? So default to how your management likes to have your beers poured. I work at a place where people want to get as much beer as possible, so we put basically no head on any of the beers. Some of them I understand that with, you know, some types of beers, when you need a certain amount of head to get to really smell the kind of the ingredients, and so people will want that. So I would just say that it depends on where you work. Go talk to your management, and when in doubt, just make it about a ½ an inch, you know, or so. Yeah. Moshing Fanger, one of my favorite names. Good to see you back, my friend. As a bartender, have you ever had to talk to someone who you cared about their problem drinking, such as a very customer, or is that just something you avoid while on the job? No, that's serious stuff. Honestly, it's more coworkers than customers. You know, customers, I tend to keep a degree of separation away from them. Some of them you get real close to, and some of them you get real close to. But I generally kind of keep a layer between me. But with your coworkers, who will, a lot of times you'll find, if you've been, once you are in this industry long enough, you'll find that most, or a lot of your coworkers can have a tendency to have just as bad of alcohol and drug problems and all sorts of just shit happening in their life. So yeah, I've had that sit down with many friends. I had one friend that literally drank himself to death. He died just this last year. Was it this last year or the year? Yeah, it was a little over a year ago. Drank himself to death, and he was always kind of had a problem, and he was genetically predisposed to having problems with stuff. But being in this industry, it definitely exacerbated it and allowed it to fester. Not blaming the industry in any way, but it's just one of those things where those types tend to get drawn towards it. Because if you're an alcoholic and you can go work with booze at the tips of your fingers every day, and it's just you can see how that can become a problem. And even people that don't drink a lot, like I even, in certain phases of my career when I was young, and you just start partying, you get in party mode, and it's crazy. You really got to be careful. It will really get away from you. I had another friend, different guy, who basically his liver was failing because he was drinking so much. And this was like mid-20s. This isn't some old guy. He was 25 or 26. And the doctor said, you need to quit drinking now because you could die tomorrow because your liver is basically failing. Because he drank so much, and he did, like pills and opiates and shit, and basically was destroying his body. And he's told him, like, you need to quit drinking now or you're going to die. And so it's that's why I say that it's not framed that way, but this is one of the most dangerous drugs and one of the most worst things we do to our bodies is to put booze into it. Well, man, that's delicious. But yeah, seriously, you gotta have those conversations sometimes. So, just part of the deal. But I generally will try to. That's one of those tends to happen like at the end of the night when you're closing and cleaning and shit. So if you don't want to have those kind of conversations in the middle of a busy shift, or where there's a lot of people around. Definitely if you're working with other people and they're like, come on, let's go, we're busy, quit talking to people. So, Andrea Maria, I'm way behind on questions, you guys. Sorry, I'll get to them. I'm still in bartending school, a 2-week course. I had to extend because it's totally about memorization of all kinds of drinks and spirits. I'm trying to remember all this help. Andrea, let me tell you that it doesn't matter. Just remember them enough so that they'll give you your little certificate, and after that it's not going to matter. I worked at a bartending school, and we used to do all these tests and stuff and make people make all these crazy drinks, and honestly most of them you'll never make. It just depends on where you work, right? As with everything. So cram, pass the test, get your thing, and then don't worry about it after that. Let it all fall out. It doesn't matter. Phew. Wow. Hey, I'm 22 down. I can see how far behind I am in all these questions. Average wages for a bartender. So Noel, in that video that I did, I think I broke down an average. I don't remember the math, but it's basically pretty low. It's less than, it's like right around 30,000 a year. That's why I say you don't make a lot of money as a bartender. Generally, it's minimum wage plus tips. Some states will actually reduce it below minimum wage, counting your tips towards what you're making as your minimum wage. I don't know how they get away with that, but they do. I'm stuck on the shooters. I made flashcards. The only thing I've passed so far is the TABC and the Texas laws. Yeah, Texas is a tricky state. They're pretty strict about stuff. So, in that regard, make sure you get that stuff passed. But that's generally just the, you know, checking the IDs and cutting people off type stuff. I don't know. Write poems for them. I'm not sure. I've always just been a like crammer. I can cram and have it stick long enough to pass the test before it all falls out. So try that. Maybe think about what the name of the shooter is and the colors in it or the flavors in it, and see if that'll help you remember certain things. Okay. Terrell Russell. Always want to say Terrell or Terrell. I'm not sure. Would you stay through the growing pains of a new business startup when tips are just okay, with some nights are totally slow? Maybe. You know, depends on how comfortable that situation was and how bad I needed more money. So, I'm not sure. That's one that only you can answer for yourself. There, Terrell. Juan Moreno. Hey, I started bartending around, so Quinny, started bartending around 9 months ago and feel as though it's more of a career than just a job. Any tips on how to move into more of a management role? Talk to the owners. And, sorry, I keep chewing on my lips. I got like chapped lips from being out in the desert. So, yeah, you got to talk to your management and your owners about that. It's like, hey, I have interest beyond just being a bartender. You know, what can I do to take on more responsibility? And just saying that will put you in a category that most people are never in this industry. So just doing that will be good. Jasmine, what are the perks? I should give you guys a full name shout out. Jasmine Madrano. What are the perks of bartending school? What are the perks of bartending school, and do they teach you things you cannot learn online or teach yourself? After working at a school for about a year, I would say no, you can't. The best thing about a school is it gives you a sense of confidence that you've done it before, that you've stood behind a bar, had a real person sitting in front of you ordering a drink, and you've had to make it. So basically what a bartending school is good for, in my opinion, what you're paying for is confidence that it's helping to give you, because it's something that you've done before. But you're still going to have those nerves, and you're still going to feel like you're not quite ready, and that's just something that maybe you don't, but most people do, and the only way to get over it is to just go work your first real shift and realize that it's not that bad, and that you're not going to make all these crazy whiz-bang drinks that you busted your ass memorizing, because most people just want a beer, a glass of wine, a Jack and Coke, or a vodka soda. Really, and that's it. You know, a shot of whiskey, shot of tequila. That's most drinking, really. You know, I mean, how often do you go out with your friends and they order a bunch of crazy, random shit drinks? Not that the drinks are shit, but you know what I mean. Most people are very much creatures of habit. They just drink basic stuff. So, bartending school is worth it if you want to pay to get that confidence. And that's what I think they're good for. Yellow Scuba Diver. Hey, Jason, glad you like my name. Can you make a video about how to close your bar? I am. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. The problem is anytime I close my bar, it's at night and it's really dark. And our bar is exceptionally dark. So, and there's always people in there, so it's not like I can like bust out my cameras and my lights and just like, okay, it's all good. Keep, you know. And I don't want to wait until everybody's gone before I start closing down, because then I'll be there forever and the management will be waiting for me. So I'm trying to figure that out. But know that the one that matches the opening one that I did, the point of view one, I'm trying to figure out how to do a closing one. I did just get a new GoPro camera, and I think the low light stuff is a lot better, so I might be able to get away with it. So I'm going to do some test runs in the next couple weeks, so we'll see what happens. So, Angela Glass, I want to get into bartending when I turn 18, but my mom is scared something bad will happen. Holy shit. Is being a girl bartender dangerous? No. And your mom's just got to let you grow into being an adult. If you're still 17, I understand why. But nothing bad. I mean, stuff can happen, of course, but you're with other people. You're never there by yourself. And if you're a girl, you should never work by yourself. You wouldn't. You'll never work by yourself. The managers are there, or the bouncers are there, or your coworkers there, or all the above. So you're never there by yourself. That being said, I always tell all my attractive coworkers, or just any female really, and this is just personal opinion, I think you guys should have just a tiny little mini mace bottle in your purse. If I was a woman, I would just have that all the time. I don't know why. I mean, I know why, but I don't know why more of you guys don't do that, just because, I don't know. It's just maybe, who knows. Anyway, yeah, I would say you'll be okay. Don't worry about it. Worry about getting a job first, and then, see where you're going to work. Obviously, you don't want to go work at some sketchy dive bar on the shady side of town. But even then, if that was the only place you could get to start, you're not going to be by yourself. So just tell her that you'll never be by yourself, so it's all good. Fireblind Ice, hobby bartender mixologist, focused on trying to create my own drinks and perfecting my palate. Do you make content for people to not trying to work as a bartender? Mostly my stuff is for people that are wanting to get into the working side. There's a ton of other crafty cocktail recipe only channels out there. So I would say just kind of go look into those guys. Although that is an area that I want to expand on this channel. So hopefully I'll have more of that stuff coming out. But it's not going to be real dedicated to, like you said, like complimenting stuff and your palate and understanding all that stuff is just like way outside of general bartending. And what I'm trying to do here is just for people that are just want to get in and work, right? Because there's always there's like mixology and then there's bartending, right? And they're the same, but they're different. Like mixology is the science and the culinary art side of it, and bartending is just like you're working and you're hustling, and it's a people interaction thing. It's not even really about the drinks. So it's something I'll touch on, but it's not really anything I would probably really get into in a whole lot of depth. But never say never. You never know. Okay. Hey from the UK. Chug-a-lug Liam. I like that. Chug-a-lug Liam. Hey from the UK. I've been bartending 6 months and just got a new gig in a busy restaurant. What general advice would you give yourself when you first started? Just relax and smile. Don't worry about it. You can only go as fast as you can go. So just relax and smile and have fun. So, Voix de... Voix... I know it's supposed to be like Voix de la Raison. I am exactly in the bar back. Learning my job, cocktail showing, taking your chances, all you need to do to get it. So sorry, sometimes I try to read what you guys are writing and you type faster, or yeah, you're thinking faster than you're typing, which is a sign of intelligence, by the way. So I'm in the bar back mood, learning my job, cocktail showing you, taking your chances, all you need to get a job. So yeah, basically, if you get in any position, bar back is the best because you're one step away from being a bartender. Bust your ass, be a good employee, help, do stuff that, if you have time, help other people, even if it's not part of your job requirement. Managers and owners will take note of that. And then be the squeaky wheel. Let them know what your intentions are, that you want to move up. Don't just think that they assume to know that. Make sure that you guys tell the people that you're working for, hey, I want to be a bartender, I want to be a manager, I want to whatever, you know. I want to not work Sundays. Tell them all that stuff. Any tips for serving wine? Different types of wine? Yes! Kenira and Hernandez. I feel like I'm screwing up that name again too. So that is one that I'm trying to get my wife to come shoot with me because she is a big wine connoisseur. And she's just been dodging me. I know, that's a video that I've needed to do for a long time. And the beer one. Jesus, I can't believe I still haven't done that too. Wash your fingers. Sorry for your friend's loss. So, sorry, to answer your question about the wine stuff, know the basics of wine in your area. Know the basics of the wine that you carry at your establishment. And start there. And then, because wine is like the mixology side or the culinary, like chefing, you know, that's just it's one of those worlds that the more you open the door, the bigger the room gets. So you can become, there's like a profession around knowing wine, you know. So with the sommelier, that's their job, is to know wine. So I would say just keep it simple at first. Understand the basics of what the main types of wine are. And don't worry about the million different labels that are out there. Just understand the basics of what the types are, what's popular in your area at the place you work at. And then from there you can slap labels on them and start to figure it out from there. Sorry for your friend's loss. Realize they need to stop drinking before it becomes a problem. Also know it's hereditary, which runs with my folks. Yeah, wash your finger. You got to be careful with that stuff, man. I'm telling you, it'll get away from you. So just be careful. But the fact that you're aware of it is a big thing. The spruce bartending for the wine. Oh, I don't know. It's secret. Hey, Jason, just wanted to say, great. Your video is really helpful. Greetings from Argentina. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Is that on this channel? Which question are you referring to? The spruce bartending for the wine. That's going over my head, whatever you guys are talking about. Andrea Maria, thank you for inspiring me. I think of your voice while I'm in class. You can get through it. Cram and pass. You. Sierra Scott, love you too. Yellow screwdriver. What do you do if hypothetically there's only a couple of people sitting at your bar on their phones? There's only so many things you can wipe or wash. I don't know. Hopefully there's a TV you can watch, or you can just do laps around your establishment. I'll do that. I'll like leave the bar and just go do laps. I'll go up to the hostess stand and it's like, hey, what do our reservations look like tonight? Go cruise around, do a little quality control on the chips and salsa, you know, because we're a Mexican joint. So you'll learn how to waste time. And you shouldn't waste time, right? Because your boss doesn't want you to do that. So you should be wiping and washing everything. But if you've wiped and washed everything 3 times, then you'll start to figure out how to waste time. How to hold up the walls, I like to say. All right, Noel. Personal favorite drink and what is in it? This is really boring because right now it's just like basic beers, lagers, pilsners, light, easy drinking. I used to drink a lot of heavy stuff, whiskey. I don't know. I guess lately I've been telling people it's kind of like an old fashioned. So like a Maker's Old Fashioned, which is just Maker's, a little bit of simple syrup, some bitters, over ice, a little bit of soda water, and that's basically it. You know, garnished with a cherry and an orange. But I don't drink a lot of hard stuff anymore, just because it kicks my ass. I don't know. I just can't handle hangovers anymore. So like drinking this type of thing, it's more of a cruise control where I can just casually sip on them, and they don't really catch up to me. So I guess I drink more for function. But I do really like trying out stuff when I go to different establishments. I'll look at their cocktail recipes and see what's in there. I love me some margaritas. I like tequilas. Like, tequila is probably my favorite hard alcohol. Tequila and then like bourbon. So it just depends. Tequilas, I usually will just do over ice with some lime juice and orange juice and a splash of water, and that's it. And that's basically just like a skinny margarita. And with bourbons, over the rocks, a little bit of, again, just a little bit of water and bitters, soda water and bitters, and yeah, it's one of those things. You tend to see people as they get into doing this for a long time, or when you see like real heavy drinkers, their drinks are usually pretty simple. The crazy, froofy, fluffy, million different ingredients and all kinds of crazy shit is generally, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but it's just generally for weekend warriors or people that are just kind of new to the scene, I would say. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. Just like I don't know, my stuff's pretty basic. I guess I'm just trying to justify why I don't drink anything cool anymore. Yeah. So, is there, Jasmine Madrano wants to know, is there a typical certain way to present yourself, personality, physically, and how should you act toward your customers? Yeah, just being generally friendly and outgoing, be an easygoing person. You want to be able to have a conversation with anybody that you don't know. And usually it's just a matter of asking them questions. If you ever need to control a conversation, not control, but if you want to not have to feel like you need to talk, anytime you have like an awkward silence, you know, like if you're on a date or something, then just ask a question and then get them talking. If you don't feel like talking, just ask people questions. It's like, hey, what's up? What are you guys doing today? Yeah? And then they'll start talking about that. And then you can ask a question out of what they just told you. So you can just pull stuff out of people. And you get good at that. But just ask simple questions. Ask what they're doing. Hey, what are you doing today? What are you up to? Or tonight? Or this weekend? Or, you know, whatever. Masha Fanger, would mixology versus bartending be the same equivalent as being a fry cook versus McDonald's or chef at a 5-star restaurant? It's not quite that extreme. No, I just mean in that mixology is like they have an interest in understanding the flavor complexities and how they fit together and figuring out the why to things. Like, why does this base alcohol with this modifying liquor taste the way it does? Like, most bartenders don't care. They know that this and this and this together makes a cocktail that this guy wants, but they don't know why those flavor spectrum things work the magic way that they do on your palate. And so with most bartenders, I feel like they're just journeymen. They're the construction workers, the blue collar workers. So you can maybe consider it like I don't know, let's keep it within food. So a 5-star restaurant being the mixologist, and fry cook it like a restaurant chain, like Chili's, right? It's not all the way down to like a McDonald's fry cook, but that negates anybody who works as a fry cook at McDonald's, and that's, you know, maybe they like doing that. I don't know. Right, thanks all you guys. Do you get a lot of customers? So Fireblend Ice, you get a lot of customers saying, can you make something unique, not on the menu, or making your own version of a classic cocktail? How do you handle that? So you just ask them what they like. What do they normally drink? Like, if they normally drink martinis, then you're not going to try to give them like a fucking Mai Tai or something. So I generally would just make people what they like. You just ask them how they like it, and then if they ask like, well, make me what you like, then I'll just make them what I like. You know, I'll make them a margarita kind of a thing, or like a bourbon thing. Like, well, do you like tequila or whiskey? And if they say tequila, I make them like a margarita thing. And if they like whiskey, then I'll make them a whiskey thing. You know, you can ask people like, well, what do you normally drink, or what alcohols do you like? And then start from there, and you can kind of reverse engineer into what you think they might like. And then what you draw upon to make that kind of stuff will just kind of come with time. But just keep it simple is the main answer. Just simple is better than trying to go too much. Always. Always, always, always. Watching Banger. That nails every day gets better. Just glad it was my choice. I wanted not the lar. Yeah. For sure. Mosh Banger. It's good that it's your call, buddy. The Sarcastic Seal. There's another great name. I'm trying to become a good barback so I can learn from the bartenders as at the place I work at. Any tips being good bartender's helper? So a barback, the main thing that you want to do is to just anticipate. Your bartenders, good barbacks, I don't have to ask them. They do it. It's like, this bottle's almost empty. They'll have one down there ready to go. These glasses need to be restocked. This ice is almost gone. These beers are almost gone. This wine is almost gone. So they anticipate and they bring that stuff before I gotta go. Hey, give me some ice. Give me some limes, whatever. You know, make sure the garnishes are full. So you'll get the routine down pretty quick, and then just anticipate what they're gonna need before they have to ask you. And then beyond that, when it's slower, ask them to teach you some cool stuff about bartending. And beyond that, tell your owners and managers your intention to become a bartender. And you do that and you'll be pretty good. All right, Guillermo. Guillermo. I'm saying that wrong. I'm sorry. Guillermo Pinto. I'm moving to Glasgow in a couple of days to look for a job in Portuguese. And sometimes I can't understand the Scottish accent. Would that be a big disadvantage, being also inexperienced? And I'm laughing because I speak English as a first language, and I sometimes can't understand a Scottish accent. So I can only imagine. It's, I think it's just like with any language. It's one of those things that once you're in the environment and you're there for a little while, that you'll start to get it. But beyond that, I have no idea. I've never been to Scotland yet, so I couldn't tell you. I would assume that there's generally, the more small town the area that you're in, the more difficult it might be as a foreigner or someone who's not a local. And the bigger metropolitan areas are going to be more cosmopolitan in the fact that meaning that they're going to have more people from everywhere around the world, so it'll probably be easier for you, if that makes sense. And I don't know, that could be completely wrong, but that's just what I'm hypothesizing. So same thing, being inexperienced, you just have to be willing to start in another position. Is going to be your best bet if you can't get hired in the one that you want right off the bat. Okay, where are we at here? Mention hangover doing lots of research. Random fact: people who don't get hangovers are more likely to have problems with drinking. Yeah. Oh, I've heard that before, but I haven't remembered that in a long time. So that's a fun fact to remember. If you drink a lot and you don't get hangovers, that means you're more likely to have a problem, or the propensity to have a problem with drinking, versus people who get bad hangovers. Yeah, that's why I've switched to. These guys don't pay me, but the light lagers, Stellas, those, the like. So, yeah, buddy, just stay aware of it. And you'll be good. Luis Felipe Jimenez Ferreira. I almost had that. Hey, would you get a bartending job? Oh, how would you get a bartending job if you have no experience? So go check out the playlist that I have, How to Become a Bartender. And there's a whole series of videos on that playlist. So under my channel, BartendingPro, look for the playlist, How to Become a Bartender, and go watch all those videos. And it'll help you out. Alright guys, we're starting to get a little long, and I think I finally caught up to all the questions. So we'll do a 5-minute countdown or so. So last call on the questions. I know it'll take a few more minutes to get through them all, but if there's any questions that you've been wanting to ask, throw them out now. Right. Yeah, Sarcastic Seal, you're welcome. That's why I'm here, man. That's why I'm here. That's why I do this. Help you guys out. You know? Let's see. Herrera. I know. Totally fucked that up. Sorry. Sorry, Louise. What's the worst complaint a bartender has about their barbacks? And then in general? I think the biggest complaint, not just about barbacks, but any co-workers in this industry, is just shitty attitudes. Like there was this girl who recently got, or I shouldn't say, there was, I should say there was a person who recently got hired at our bar and just made assumptions about what job she was going to go into and like what shifts she was going to get. And then when she didn't get that position or those shifts, she just has had a chip on her shoulder ever since. And that just generally turns everybody off. The owners, the managers, the coworkers, nobody wants to be around that. So the worst complaint about any coworkers or barbacks is just the shitty attitude. If you're like mad and you have crap going on in your life, leave it at home. When you come to work, smile, be happy, be in a good mood. There's enough stress in a busy environment. Like if you're a barback, you're working in a busy bar. There's enough stress in a busy bar that you don't need to deal with other drama and bullshit while you're there. So smile, take it easy, be happy, and do more than you're required if you can. You know, if you see something that's, you know, if something spills, don't just step over it because, oh, it's not my job. You know, don't say that's not my job. Just your job is to help the whole establishment work. So do stuff that's maybe outside of your job description. And then, you know, be outgoing and friendly, but don't try too hard. Right? It's one of those fine line things, and that generally just means just be normal, right? Don't do stuff that you normally wouldn't do to an extreme degree. So hopefully that answers your question. Monster Finger. So if I'm out as the DD and drinking non-alcoholic beverages, should I tip the same amount as if they were alcoholic? And what about free stuff like water? I don't tip on a glass of water. Well, sometimes I will. But yeah, I mean, it's, if you go buy something like a Coke, you know, tip them $1. But generally you only have to buy it once. Like if most places are pretty cool. Like if you buy a Coke, tip them $1, and then you take your glass back, they'll fill you up again. They're not going to charge you for another Coke. Or they should anyway. If they do, then they're cheap SOBs. But that's just because I've been in this industry for so long that I always tip, and I always over tip, just because I believe in karma and I believe that stuff is going to come back to me. So I'm generally an over tipper, and that's just, you know, because I've been doing this forever. So I'd say if it's only $1 here or there, then throw it down. But like water, don't worry about that. But I still will throw $1 down for water, even if it's just on like the first one, like, you know. But at the same time, if you've been buying drinks all night and tipping them all night, then don't worry about tipping them on asking for a water. But you're being a DD, so I understand your point, or your question is a little bit different. But up to you. Feel it in the situation. You'll kind of get a sense if they're hoping you give them $1. And if that is the case, then if you feel like, then go for it. Fig infused bourbon with sugar, Jerry Thomas bitters, and it's on. Yeah. Demerara sugar and Jerry Thomas bitters with a fig infused bourbon. Damn, that sounds fucking good. Maybe we'll make that one. It's a good recipe video. I'm gonna take a screenshot of that one. Good job, Darko. Radoslavit I'm not even gonna try to go your last name. I'll fuck it all up. Stupid American. I can't say all you guys' cool names very well. The craft scene is much more robust and healthy in Europe, which is cool. I would definitely give European bartending a nod over the US bartenders. It's all quick and dirty over here, and not all, but there's a lot of it. It's just like quick, sloppy, dirty, give me strong drinks, I don't care. And like the craft, like the true, I think they're actually the original bartending schools were all from Europe. And those guys definitely have a lot more interest in the craft. So cheers to all of my European peeps out there. All right, where are we at here? I lost my spot. Would you prefer quantity or quality on the job? What do you mean? Like drinking or customers or like tipping? Not sure what you mean with your question. Quantity or quality on the job? As a bartender in the place that I work at, quantity, because volume equals money. And I guess that comes down to bartending versus mixology. So it's for me it's a fast pace. The faster you go, the more money you make, the more drinks that we put across the bar, the better we do. So I would say quantity over quality. But if I'm on the other side of the bar, I'm going to prefer quality. That's ironic, but I'm going to go to a place. I don't go out anymore, really. I'm like, you know, married and old and shit compared to most of you guys. So I don't go out to the crazy pumping clubs anymore. So whenever we go out, it is quality on that side. Okay, Tim Rock. Mal Martyr. Would you say that you are satisfied with what you have at this point in time? I mean, does bartending give you all the needed satisfaction in life? Definitely not. And I hope, I don't know, I mean, maybe people love it that much, but if anybody ever says that bartending gave them everything they need in satisfaction of life, maybe I would say cheers on you for having, you know, just a basic what you want in your life. But for me, this has always just been a vehicle to achieving what I really want to do, which is just to go play and be outside and be in nature and travel and see the world and stuff. So this gives me a lot of flexibility in my schedule so that I can go play outside, because I do this job so that I can live an outdoors simple life. So bartending itself in the moment is a lot of times very high strung and stressful, and I fucking hate it sometimes. But when I'm experiencing those moments outside of it, I appreciate what it allows me to do. So I wouldn't say that it gives me all the needed satisfaction in my life. Definitely not, because it's not something I'm foresee doing too much longer. But again, it just comes down to what you're into and why you're doing this job. So, like, only you can answer that for yourself. Sarcastic Seal. I like that name. Thanks, man. It's my first bar job. So needed the advice. Got a new subscriber. All right, buddy. Right on. Thank you. Glad you're here. Okay. Holy shit, it's almost 8:30. All right, for real. Last few questions here. Now that you guys got a bunch up here. So, let's see. Ryan Campbell, hello from Ireland. Good to see you, buddy. Would you agree that bartending can be a very unthankful job role? Yes. Thankless is the word I was looking for, not unthankful. Yes, thankless. Definitely. And that's just customer service. You know, there's just certain people that don't get it and they never will. I think that part of a university degree, part of the requirement should be you have to work at least 1 year in a service industry position of some sort. Just because of the fact of the interaction that's happening just helps you understand human nature in a way that you can't understand if you've never done it. Like, I can tell by the time, even quicker, but I can tell by the time somebody leaves a customer, you know, during the interaction of a customer being there and then leaving, I can tell whether or not they've ever worked in the service industry. And generally the people that are the worst, your shitty customers, which generally has nothing to do with us, it's usually because they're mad about other things in their life, they will, you can tell that they've never worked in the industry. And so I think it would do a lot of people a lot of good to help them understand and be thankful for our good service. So yeah, it can be very unthankful, or thankless, like you said. Alright, Fanger, good to see you, buddy. Thank you, Jasmine. You hear me? Cocktail barbell tender. Yo! Back at 4:19 a.m. in England. Catch another live stream, buddy. You. Glad you make it. So dedicated. You guys are awesome. I do not have kids, Kanira. We have cats. I have 2 cats. Even though I'm a dog guy, the lady is a crazy cat lady, and she was buying on the last one, so we got cats. The next pets I'm buying, and I'm getting a dog, but no actual human kids. Tamrock, yeah, of course. Always gonna answer honest for you guys. Fire Bomber, Fire X Bomber, what's up? Made it right as I'm closing up shop, man. But I'm glad you made it for a hot second. Next week we'll be back. I am going out of town. Hold on, I don't think it's next week. Let me see, you guys. Let me see. No, next week's good. But the following week, right? Is it the following week? The following week, I'm going to be out of town. So January 16th. May or may not be a live stream, so I'm going to be gone. I will try to do it, but I'm going to be up in the mountains, and so I might not have any internet access because we're going on a snowboard trip. So next week, I'll see you next week, but January 16th, maybe, maybe not. But we'll talk about that next week. I'm glad I remembered that because I wanted to keep you guys up on that. Okay. Shit, now you guys are throwing a bunch of questions. All right, last questions, guys, and then I gotta bail out of here. Since I started bartending about 8 months ago, my biggest issue has become winding down after work in order to catch a good amount of sleep without becoming too nocturnal. Yeah, and that is where a lot of people become problem drinkers. You get in a habit of just like, because you're so wound up after a shift, and then you come home, and then you're supposed to go to sleep, and you're just wide awake. I live in California, so I personally just take a little toke, which helps me go to sleep. I don't know your personal opinions on that stuff or what your personal beliefs are. Maybe you live somewhere where that's not possible, but it tends to help me. Just meditation, too, is another good one. Like if you just look up some real basic meditation stuff on YouTube, you know, and you can just listen to shit and it'll kind of put you to sleep, so that's cool. But that's kind of been the best thing, is just as a natural body bauer, at least 8 hours per night is important to me. Can you suggest any good winding down techniques? Well, you might not like the fact that I just said maybe you should smoke some weed, but maybe I don't know. Maybe that's not against your thing. Could help. Meditation, though, is a good one. And breathing. A lot of times when you find you're all wound up, if you take note of your breathing, you'll find that it's really short and shallow. So if you just slow your breathing down and make it real deep, you'll start to just wind down naturally. Cool. All right, Ryan. You. No worries, buddy. Malted in Montreal. You. Sorry for you guys coming in late. We're closing up shop here in a minute. But next week, 7 o'clock, West Coast, U.S. Standard Pacific Time, 7 o'clock. Have a good night. Lily, Joe, Martra. Yeah, buddy. Have a good night. Yeah. Next week, Malted. Thanks, you guys. List mentions, where in Cali is it easy to get into bartending? Oh, man. That's such a long question. I don't know if there's anywhere where it's easy, but go watch the How to Become a Bartender playlist that I have. Go into my channel, How to Become a Bartender playlist, and there's a bunch of videos in there that'll help you. Malted Montreal. Pot butter cookies are better for your health. Smoking is bad. Edibles are better. I agree. I don't smoke. I mean, I will a little bit, but I use convection vaporizers. So it's heats the flour, because I don't like the pens. I don't like the the vape pens, because it is suspended in glycol, which I don't like. It gives me a headache. So I use convection vaporizers, so it heats it to a certain point, but it doesn't actually combust. So you get the same effects, but not quite. But yeah, edibles are cool. The problem with edibles is they just kind of take a while, and if you don't have your dosage right, they'll knock you on your ass. You right? Yeah, I quit smoking weed 4 years ago. Yeah, so that's out of the question. Meditation is a good pointer though. Yep, go for the meditation, buddy. All right, you guys, I think I have everybody covered. I have my license and everything. Do you recommend starting at a smaller bar? Hodgepodge. Start at whatever bar you can. Shoot for the big ones. Go for the big ones. If you don't get hired, then start the little ones. And then stand on whatever job you get and keep shooting for the other ones. Okay. Best city in Cali to bartend. The big busy ones. So any of the ones that are the bigger metropolitan areas are going to have more options. So more people equals more bars and more customers generally. But where, that's just, again, personal preference on where you want to live in California, because it's a big state. Northern California is very much different geographically and personality than Southern California or even the middle of the state. So just depends on what you want, the type of people and type of area you want to be in. All right, you guys, we're going to call it there. Thank you for showing up and hanging out. I'm Jason. This has been making you a Bartending Pro. I'll see you next week, 7 o'clock Standard Pacific Time. If you're new, think about subscribing. And if you want some more details on all this stuff, make sure you check out all the playlists, especially the How to Become a Bartender playlist. Answers a lot of questions that you guys have about this stuff. Go back and watch the old live streams. Most of them are well over an hour, and they have all kinds of great information. A lot of similar questions that we covered tonight, but a lot of other things that come up all the time. And if you want a more detailed kind of linear layout of all the videos and lessons that I have, the bartendingblueprint.com is the website that I have. That's basically a training platform. So if you want something a little more structured, go check that out. All right, guys. I'll see you next week, and hopefully we'll have some new drink recipe videos coming out soon. Cool. Thanks for hanging. Have a good night, you guys. And I think that will do it. Cool.